Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name's Joe. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the game The Squared Circle. This is from St. Patrick. It is available on lulu.com. I'll throw a link in there if you're interested in actually picking up the game. But this is another wrestling game, and I'm sure some of you are probably getting tired of those, but this one is actually very, very good. It is deeply researched, and I will probably do kind of a wrap-up of the various games I've looked at here sometime in the not too distant future to give you my thoughts on these various games. But in the meantime, we're going to do a playthrough here of a single match from the AWA, which was the Minnesota territory run by Vern Gagne. I have to apologize. I actually butchered his name even worse than that when I did the previous video where I actually had him wrestling. I realized I had said his name wrong because I was thinking of the baseball player Greg Gagne, and his Vern's son was actually also named Greg, and that may be part of why I got that mixed up, but I'm correcting it. It's actually pronounced in the way the French would pronounce it. So that's a bit of a digression. I want to get right into the action here. So this is a very straightforward game. Now, it's designed to be multiplayer. The man who designed it, he played this with his friends back in the 80s. They kind of got together and made the rules up for this. It's somewhat like a role-playing game where you control specific people, and that someone plays the role of the booker, and you can the booker can kind of direct the action in a similar fashion to say what a dungeon master would, right? Things that are outside the control of the participants. So in this case, you can also play it solitaire. You can play it with 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, whatever. But so we're just going to do a nice, simple singles match with the Crusher and Nick Bockwinkel. So these are 2 other high-profile wrestlers from that particular federation, the AWA. And this set is the AWA 1970 to 1987. So there's a lot to this system, and I'd probably prefer to do kind of a recap of it, as I said, when I go and do, a wrap-up of everything. So for now, I'll just kind of explain things as we go, but it's really quite simple. You roll for control with D10s, so we have 2 D10s here. Now, you do have a face and a heel, so if you're familiar with wrestling, you know what those are. Face is the good guy, and the heel is the bad guy, right? Because wrestling is obviously very, very much scripted and storylined. So in this case, the Crusher, he's a face. The letter B after it is for the quick play version. So it's kind of a letter grade that denotes their quality and will let you basically determine the chances that they would have of winning, losing, drawing, etc. Then you have Nick Bockwinkel, who is actually a champion, and you can see him holding the belt here. He's a heel A, so he's a highly ranked wrestler, and everybody starts with a PowerPoint total, a certain number of PowerPoints, I should say. We're not talking about the presentation software from Microsoft. They're power space points that each wrestler has that determines basically how much push they had, how good they were, essentially in the world of wrestling. So that usually goes hand in hand kind of with the letter grades here of A and B respectively. So he's going to have more PowerPoints than Crusher has. Down here you have levels, which indicate basically damage, or endurance if you would prefer. That kind of indicates how close a wrestler is to losing the match via pinfall or submission. They will both have those. They're 20% levels based on their initial PowerPoint total. So you would write that in. You would take his initial PowerPoints and write it here. I have not done that yet. And then you would do 20%. So you would start at 80, 60, 40, 20, and then of course level 5 is 0. And then each of those will make it easier, it will make it easier for someone to be pinned. Then they all have wrestler moves. So this is their wrestler move set. And this is where the heavy research that St. Patrick did to make this game comes into play. He charts, or has charted, all of the moves that he has access to via video. So he watches old matches. He's got an extensive video collection. He watches old matches and charts the moves that these wrestlers made in the period that they're covering. And this is 1970 to 87. So it's a big chunk of time, but he watched a lot of videos, and these were the moves that Nick Bockwinkel used during that time. And then you have, some of them will have an asterisk next to it, which indicates that that's a potential finishing move. So they would have a pin attempt afterwards. Now you have single asterisk and double asterisk. The single asterisk indicates that the wrestler will have to gain control, and if he gains control, then he can attempt a pin. So basically, you roll. Let's say we rolled an 8 and a 4. Now Bockwinkel's the heel, so he has the 8. Crusher has the 4, so he has control. Then you roll again, and you use it as a 100, a 0, 0, 1 to 0, 0, or basically 1 to 100 number, and he gets a 72 for a drop kick. Now, it has a D after it, which is the wrestler, the move rating, basically. And we'll talk about that here in a bit. But he would have to roll again and win control. And in this case, he did not. He had a 5 to a 7, so he did not win control. He would not be able to try this drop kick, this finisher from his drop kick. But if you have a 2, you automatically get a pin attempt at the end, or a finisher at the end. So you want, obviously, the higher numbers tend to be better. Down here, because he's a heel, you can see 0, 1, 0, 2 is a cheat, and there is a cheat chart where you get, you roll a D8 and it determines what he did that was cheating, and then you roll again to determine if the referee saw it and if he gets DQ'd or whatever. There's a lot to it, but it's very streamlined and straightforward. And there's also match time limits in terms of moves. So each of these counts as a move. So if we do a 10-minute match, which is what we'll do, that's 50 moves. So once we hit 50 moves, it's time. So it would be a draw if nobody's been pinned or otherwise disqualified, etc., or whatever. Okay, so as you can see, I've written in Bockwinkel will start with 820 points. When he hits 656, he'll go to level 1, 492, level 2, level 3, level 4, etc., basically, right? He starts with 800, Crusher, 640, 480, 320, 160, and then 0. What does that mean? Well, here on our pinfall and submission chart, you can see level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are pin attempts, right? So if he's at level 5, which means he's at 0, he'd have to roll, the wrestler who's trying to pin would need to roll more than a 1. So that's a pretty good chance for the first count. Then more than a 2 for the 2 count. And then more than a 30 for the 3rd count, which is, of course, the pin. You go negative as well. So if he goes down to minus 50, and you're an A move, it's an automatic pin. Now, this is the quality of the move. We saw a D move earlier, so you can see it's a little bit harder to pin. But even down here, if you're at minus 50, even with a D or an E move, you got like a really high percentage chance of getting pinned. So we're going to start here. So you just take your... Now, you can do things like pre-events and so on and so forth if you wish, because, again, it's open-ended. Just like a lot of wrestling games, you have a lot of freedom to do things. The score sheet is very simple. So here's our score sheet. You write wrestler A and B. Then you can put their moves in here and the count. And that will let you count up because of the time limit. If we get to 50 moves, we have a draw. The match is over. All right. So again, black is Bockwinkel. White is Crusher. So Crusher gets the first control. Now I'm going to roll again, and our black will be the hundreds, the 10-digit, and the 1-digit is the white. And he gets a 33, so we just look here. 33, it falls in the 29 to 61 range, which is a punch and an 11-point score. So we write in punch for 11. Oh, it's 11 plus, we roll 1d6. Sorry, I have to do that. And it's a 4, so that actually is a 15-point crushed. So anything, all of these on here, you roll a d6 and add that to it. And that's move number 1. So you can see I wrote it in here. Punch plus 15, 1. And then you would take Bockwinkel, who starts with 820, and I just write 815 next to him here. So I know he's down to 815 points. And then she just progressed that way. 5, 6. So again, Crusher in control. And he gets a 60 this time. And again, that's going to be a punch. We'll roll our d6. And you can roll them together if you want. So that one becomes a 12-point roll. Now you can use this score sheet other ways if you want. You don't necessarily have to do it the way I'm doing it, but it's flexible. Let's put it that way. So Bockwinkel still can't get control. Crusher again. Here, we'll roll all 3 together. And we get a 53 and a 1. So another punch. That's 3 straight punches. And some of these will count as 3 moves. You see here, test of strength counts as 3 moves, or 2 moves, or 4 or 5. It'll vary based on the wrestlers. So that is another 12-point move. And Bockwinkel is now down to 791. All right, now we'll roll again. 8-7. Bockwinkel gets control for the first time. We'll roll all 3. He gets a 17 and a 6. So a 17 for him is knee lift. Scores 5 plus 6 is 11. And we just continue in this vein. And that's just how you do it. 5-0. So the 0 in this case is a 10. So Crusher again. And he gets a 47 and a 2. So 47 again falls in punch. He's a puncher. And with the 2, that's worth 13 points. And again, we get a 1 and a 3. So again, it's Crusher in control. And we get a 23 and a 6. So 23 is not a punch. So it's a stomp. Stomp is worth 10. Plus 6, that's a 16-point stomp. That's move 5. And Bockwinkel is now down to 762. Then we have 9-4 for control. And a 33, and I'll keep the 5. So 33 and a 5, again, is going to be a punch. And the 5 plus 11 is 16. 4-2. Crusher again. 36 and a 4. So another punch. For 15. 731. So Bockwinkel's really getting it put to him in this one. A 3-2, so again, it's Crusher. And that is a 06, so that's a 6, which is a takedown. And we have to roll that. And 6 plus takedown's only worth 0. So we add the 6, it's worth 6. 7-7. Okay, we have a tie. Now, when you have a tie, you have to use what's called the wrestling raffle chart. Okay, so with the wrestling raffle chart, all right, and I'll show you the first part of it here. So you can see wrestling raffle chart. When rolling for control, if both players roll the same number, they will refer to the wrestling raffle chart. This chart allows situations to occur that are outside of the regular rules and structure of the game, yet these are not abnormal movesets for the most part. So basically, the key takeaway here is this is kind of like an event chart. So something has happened that's outside the normal wrestling moves or whatever. So it is, again, a 0-1 to 0-0 situation. So we'll roll. And we got a 98. So that's going to be a fairly rare one, I believe. So if we look up 98, it says each wrestler rolls 1d10. The wrestler with the highest number surprises the other with a quick pinning combination. The 1, 2, 3 chances on the pin are 5, 10, 91. So we're going to roll our D10s again. And we got a 7-3, so Bockwinkel is going to get the pin attempt here. So he needs a 5 on the first, higher than a 5. He got a 6. Okay. Now he needs higher than a 10. And he got a 19. And now he needs higher than a 91. And he got a 4. So basically Crusher kicks out and the match continues. All right. So, and that is the wrestling raffle chart. Okay. So now we'll continue. We have an 8-1, so Bockwinkel in control. And he gets an 07, which is a takedown, which is another 0, but he gets 3 points for it. Now, we'll keep the 4. It's a 3-5, so Crusher's in control, and he gets a 50. And a 50, again, is the famous punch. With the +4, it's worth 15. That's move number 10. And that brings Bockwinkel down to 715. So he is getting closer to that 656. 3-2. So this is Bockwinkel's control. And he gets a 24 and a 4. So 24 is a forearm worth 7, with 4 is 11. 5-8, that is Crusher again. 38 is a punch for 14 points. Moving on, 4-8, again Crusher in control. 50 again is a punch for 17 points. And that brings him down to 684. So getting close. He's 28 points from hitting level 1. 4-4. So we go to the raffle chart again. And we get a 24 this time. And a 24 is the face wrestler. So that would be Crusher. Throws his heel opponent into the turnbuckle for 1d6 plus 8 damage. So that is 14 points of damage. In the process, the ref accidentally takes the brunt of the damage, getting squashed in the corner. The ref's down briefly but not injured. He stands up before any other moves are done, but what will he do? What will he call? Roll a 1d10. If you roll a 1, the ref disqualifies the face for the bump. If you roll a 2 to 9, the ref allows the match to continue. If you roll a 10, the ref disqualifies the heel for pulling him into harm's way. We rolled a 4, so the match continues. So that is a 14-point throw into the turnbuckle. And we continue. And we get an 8 and a 0, which is a 10. So, Crusher again. 57. Another punch, this time for 16. He does not have a very diverse moveset, apparently. And so that actually moves Bockwinkel below the threshold. He is now at 654, so he is now level 1, which doesn't really matter that much, but doesn't help. 4-3, so that's again Crusher. And a 97, so this is going to be interesting. So here we see it says, hit opponent with foreign object, see notes. Now each guy can have notes. They don't all have notes, but some do. On 97, hit opponent with foreign object. Crusher doesn't believe he's been caught. The pin attempt is 01, 05, 85. If he makes it past the 2 count, he rolls a 1d10 before attempting the 3, and a roll of 1 means the ref sees the foreign object in his trunks and DQs him. A 2 to 10 means he continues the 3 count attempt unseen. Now this is a 25-point move. plus 3 is 28. Now let's see if he can get the pin. So that one's good. That's 1. That's 2. He needs an 86 or better. And he does not get it. Oh, wait, I forgot to roll the D10 for the... So a 1 will mean he sees the foreign object. He does not. So that just the match just continues. And that's 626 remaining for Bockwinkel. 7-6. Bockwinkel wins control. 87. 87 is throw out of ring plus 12. Okay, so 12 plus 6 is 18. So that's actually a pretty big move. Okay, so there is a chart for thrown out of the ring. So we will roll on this chart. It's again a 100 D100 roll. So 75. Control winner drives back into side of ring. Both return to ring. So let's roll for control. And Bockwinkel wins control. So he's going to pick up 25 additional points. And both return to the ring. I'm going to roll a d6. And that'll be 28 points. All right. And we'll continue. 2-2. So another one on the raffle chart. 90. The face performs his move with the highest level of damage attached to it. This will be his highest damage attached non-pinfall move. So our face is Crusher. Looking at his non-pinfall, we see 17 for a suplex. I think that's the highest. Because the hit with a foreign object does lead to a pin attempt. So we're going to go with 17 for the suplex. So it's 25 or 17 rather, and let's roll the d6, and it's a 1. So he gets 18 points for that. Continuing. 88, again a tie, again to the raffle chart, and we get an 80. And 80 is the face gains the next 3 control rolls, which includes winning this one. If face versus face or heel versus heel, which it's not. So we're just going to roll. He gets control 3 times, so we're just rolling for damage here. So that is a 76 with a 5. 76 is ram head into turnbuckle for 15. Okay, let's roll for our next control here. And it's a 2-1, so that gives it to Crusher. 75 and 5. So 75 is again ram. I keep rolling the same thing. Ram head into turnbuckle. And again, it's a 5 on the 6 as well, so that gives him 15 more points. All right. We'll give it another shot. 5-2 in favor of Bockwinkel this time. Whoops. 40. And 40 is punch. Well, what goes around comes around. That's an 8-point punch plus 5 is 3 for 13. Crusher at 7-16. So he's still at level 0. 8-3. So that's Bockwinkel again. And 44 is punch plus 4 is 12 this time. 0 for 10. Well, Bockwinkel got a 10 and Crusher got a 9. So Bockwinkel 3 in a row. Oh, shoot. I totally forgot. He was supposed to get 3 controls in a row. So let me back up here. We'll give him this roll for a move of 89 and plus 2 points. His 89 is an eye rake for 2 points. 2 points. So I screwed that up, but we'll just carry on. Now we're rolling for damage. This will be the third one. This is 32, which is, of course, you guessed it, punch. And it's a 12-point punch. That's move number 25. And that leaves him with 557. All right. Now we'll resume. I'll leave Bockwinkel's moderate successes there in place. 6-5 in favor of Crusher. 12 with 2. 12 is a hip toss for 2 points, so that's a 4-point hip toss. 8-1 in favor of Bockwinkel. 36 is a stomp for 9 with 3 is 12. 96 in favor of Bockwinkel. 9-6, I should say. 70. Shoulder to stomach. 7 plus 3 is 10. All right. 9-3 Crusher. 90 with a 6. 90 is again an eye rake plus 2 with 6 makes it an 8. I was hoping to get a pin attempt or something here. And this time we get an 8-1 in favor of Bockwinkel. We'll leave the 2 as my pen rolls across the table. 79 is ram head into turnbuckle for 10 plus 2 is 12. All right. 3-2 Crusher. 59 and a 6. 59 is punch. That's a 17-point punch. All right, and we'll continue. 5-3 Bockwinkel. 37 is a punch for 11. 9-8 Crusher. 14 is a knee drop for 6 plus 5 is 11. All right. Whoops. 64. So 6-4 is Bockwinkel. And a 43 is a punch for 14. This is more like a boxing match. 6, 5, 7. Crusher's getting close to being down to level, or going to level 1 rather. 8-5 for Bockwinkel. And a 20 is a knee drop for 6 plus 2 is 8. All right. 10-7 Crusher. And an 8 is armbar counts as 2 moves. And it's 1 plus 1 for 2 points. 10-8 for Crusher again. And we get a 40 and a plus 1. And that's a punch for 12. There's move 38. And Bockwinkel is now at level 2. 6-5 in favor of Crusher. Crusher's dominated the match pretty much. Oh, 100. Okay, so this is a big one. This is a bolo punch, which is a finishing move, a move. So bolo punch, and as I said, Bockwinkel just went into level 2. And he's going to take 46 plus 5 is 51 points of damage for this. So Bolo, that is move 39, and it is 51 points, leaving Bockwinkel at 440. And now we have to roll for the pin. So we are at level 2 with a move, so a 1. So higher than a 1, which is pretty much always going to be good. Then higher than an 11, we get a 45. Now if we get higher than a 63, Crusher wins by pinfall. And we get an 80. Crusher wins by pinfall. So that is it. Crusher taking the match, pinning Nick Bockwinkel about 8 minutes or so into the match, if you want to kind of figure that out. Now, St. Patrick has made it pretty clear that it's not really so much like a so many moves per minute or anything like that, because you're to assume that is other action going. Sorry for the lack of focus there. There's other action going on in the middle of all these moves that score. So that is the game. Now, there is more to it, of course. There's tag teams, there's specialty matches, there's the roster of wrestlers that come with each of these. I've got everything that's been released so far. So with the base game, which has the rules and you need it, or the core game, it's got Jim Crockett Productions from '86. And then I believe the second one is WWF 80, like late 80s, 85 to 90, I think, or something along those lines, like Hulkamania era, which is a lot of fun as well, just because a lot of the storylines in that particular era are familiar to a lot of people, and there's just a lot of big names, because that's when WWF really kind of exploded. The third one, I think, is third one might be Texas. Then there's AWA, which is this one, and there's also Memphis. So I have all of those. I bought it all as PDFs. You can print it out. Obviously, these wrestlers take up an entire page. Some of your more, the jobbers, as they're called, your lower level kind of enhancement talent, the guys who go in there to lose to the big names, to push people, give them, more gaudy stats, essentially. Those guys are like half pages, so there'll be like 2 on each page. But there are a lot of wrestlers, a lot of tag teams, a lot of specialty stuff. All of the raffle chart things are unique to that territory and time period. So you're going to have a bunch of different events based on what you're playing. So if you play the Jim Crockett Productions, it's going to be different from WWF. It's going to be different from the AWA. It's going to be different from Texas. It's going to be different from Memphis. So you've got a lot of variety in there. And as I said before, all the research and everything that was done to do this is kind of mind-boggling to me. Charting everything, and I know he's working on the next entry, which I think is Georgia, I believe, but that's supposed to be coming out in May. So when that comes out, I'm sure I'll pick it up and I'll maybe do something on it then. I do appreciate, as always, you guys watching. I did mention this in my channel update. I'll be traveling. I don't know for sure if I will be able to continue to put up videos at the same rate that I have been. There may be a gap of a week or maybe 2 weeks, depending on my, just how much. I'm going to try to do things while I'm on the road, but it's a lot more difficult because I don't have all my stuff with me. The sports stuff does travel pretty easily because it's mostly PDFs, and the play games, you can slip those into an envelope in general. I haven't even really decided what I'm taking with me yet, but I will try to take something with me so that I can continue to do videos. But for now, that's going to do it for this one. I do thank you for watching. Please consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing, as I always say. And as I always say, and it is very much true, I do appreciate any support that you guys can provide. So thanks again. But that's going to do it for now. So this is the sports edition of Hexed Encountered, and I'm Joe. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.